This is Company of Heroes 3. We're here on Xbox Series S. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. And if you are, buying this game on the Xbox Store, consider using the affiliate link in the video description. It takes you to the Microsoft Store, and it helps support the content on the channel. So yeah, Company of Heroes 3 is an interesting RTS title, so it's real-time strategy experience. And the most recent kind of offering of a franchise from, RTS to make its way over to, well, basically the console platform. So what are we getting here? Unlike the Series X version, we actually don't have the option to change between performance and quality and whatnot. So it's like 1080p, and it's 30 FPS, but there's like something a little kind of off with the frame rates. It kind of feels like it kind of flutters a little bit. Maybe I don't know. It's 30-ish, but yeah, it feels a little bit strange, and it looks quite like murky too in regards to like the visual fidelity. It's definitely yeah, it's lower. That is for sure. But anyways, this is a really cool game. You can play it in a number of different ways, and it does, aside from kind of performance and stuff like that. Like, what's really weird about this one for resolution is like buildings and stuff, not too bad. Characters, not too bad quality. Where you actually might think it's a little bit of a higher resolution almost, but like then you look at like ground textures and stuff, and it's like super murky looking. It's a bit odd. So yeah, okay. Let's dive into this. What does this game have to offer? Well, there are a bunch of kind of different ways to play this game. So you can essentially you can do things like there's the campaign. So this one has a bit of a different sort of environment to it. Mediterranean is the concept here. So deserts of North Africa. You get some Italian mountain passes. That's the structuring here from a, kind of like thematic World War II location perspective. So, I mean, it makes sense. It's interesting. It's a different setup. I actually would really love it if they were to say, maybe do some, I guess, like the other entries in the series, I would really love to see available on the platform as well. So maybe if that's possible at some point, that would be really quite cool. But for now, just very happy to have, this title available on the platform. I think it's like a really quite neat game, in my opinion. I think it's very interesting. So, yeah. So with the campaign, you've got a couple campaigns. There's two different split campaigns that you can jump into. There's also like kind of the skirmish, the skirmish modes, where you are, oh, these guys are so gonna get killed. Oh, just retreat, guys. Just retreat, there's too many of them. So yeah, so skirmish, you can kind of set up these matches, which go up to 4 players aside. So it's like 8 players. So it's the same with online, too. You can do online multiplayer up to 8 players. So if you want to do that, that's cool. So skirmishes are kind of like quick matches where it's just like, hey, we dive in, we do these battles, and, we're kind of collecting territory and everything like that. They're cool. Then there's, like, co-op against the AI. So there's, like, a few different sort of modes and ways to play the game. So you got a few different options in regards to, how you want to go about this. Mechanized Support Center. Infantry support. Play a second. Unlock Air Support Center. Just trying to think of the upgrades I want to go with. Infantry support. And these kind of, yeah, let's go for infantry support. So anyways, yeah, you are, creating these teams. You're going through these different setups, whether you're doing that from like a campaign perspective, or if you are trying to do like, quick combat and, do tactics and everything like that. This game does offer, a good range of ways to kind of play it and combat your opposing forces. And you have to use like levels of strategy too. Like you've got, your different characters. I'm just kind of saying them in to do some action, but you've got different things that do different stuff. So like you got riflemen, you've got snipers. It's up to you to tactically position your troops in order to hold areas, capture points, and, you know, get objectives. So it's a very interesting concept in terms of like commanding your troops, and I think they've done a really good job of giving you a lot of tools in order to command your squads during combat. And you know, they've also got like the tactical pause, so you could see like, okay, where are these guys headed, where are they going, so you can pause things if you want to set stuff up. So that's a pretty helpful feature for actually setting things in this game, which makes it a little different from other RTS titles as well. And you know, like most real-time strategy games, this one does have a nice mix of, you know, sometimes you are... Oh god, that grenade's gonna like blow up. Very, very gory, this game. So yeah, sometimes you are building, you know, buildings, fortifications. Sometimes you are commanding troops in strategic ways. Like, there's a lot of different sort of ways to do the combat in this game. And it's, to me, very, very intriguing how they've set that up in this one. Because it's just like, it does take a second to get used to, because it's like you press the A button to like kind of back off. But I do really quite like how the controls and everything are set up in this game, because I think it actually is pretty well put together, all things considered. I was sort of really wondering how this was going to go, and I'm like, oh, another good, I guess you would say, real-time strategy success story in translation over to the platform. And you know what, for the Series S, not too bad, all things considered. But yeah, the frame rate and stuff like that definitely would have been nicer to have a higher option. But clearly there was lots of sacrifices that were having to be made. So what's really also interesting about this one is like your different... well, actually that's going to work shooting through that thing. That's hilarious. So your different like characters have different things that they can do. So like some of them engineers, they'll be, you know, supporting and fixing vehicles. Snipers, you'll want to set up the snipe. Some of your units will hold on to things such as you might a motor pool, armor cars. Like you might have some sort of form of like artillery that you are, you know, kind of using, and some of your units will be able to like, I guess you would say, pick that up and move it around, and then you have to position it and set it up so that it is effective for your team, so that you can actually do more damage. And you will do upgrades and everything like that along the way in order to, you know, be more proficient during a battle, which is interesting. And there's a lot of like tactics to how you are handling your squad, like, you know, using cover, positioning, setups, everything like that, the territorial expansion. This game really does have, at least for me, I think some really interesting layers of strategy that you can quite enjoy. Like there is a lot to like about this franchise. Like it's really quite, you know, violent and gory, but the elements of like, hey, how do I position my team? How do I set them up? How do I keep them healed? You know, everything like that. These guys are like really kind of interesting. And then there's deeper elements, so it's like you can create like field defenses. It's like, okay, well, we need, you know, fighting position, so we send in the engineers and they go over here and they're gonna, you know, set up something that we can use in order to protect our interests. So what I'm trying to get across is that there is a lot of layering elements to this game and the series in general, where you are, you know, taking command of your squad and having to use them in interesting ways. And I've always quite liked that about this series. I think it's really, you know, been quite an intriguing franchise just in terms of like what it has offered. And there are a wide range of different like maps and locations and setups here. Let's take the heavy gunner guys and let's try to get them set up somewhere. Because the idea was I was going to create like these overreaching like support structures and then have like the riflemen kind of, I guess you'd say, make their move into the position, but we're not really fully set up there. And then there's different waves of like how you direct your different, you know, troops and everything like that. These guys, we don't really have much of an option. How are we doing? Okay, so we've got you guys over there. You guys go group up with these guys. I'm trying to think of the best way to effectively set up my squad as we prepare to do a little bit of battling. So then we've got the anti-tank armored car. Let's do an armored car. And then we're going to send these guys in down the middle. Hopefully not too much cannon fodder. But I love how I learned the big mistake of, like, you know, don't let your troops just stand in the middle as a big grouped up thing, because they're just asking to be blown up by, like, a grenade. that's essentially what's happened here. But I've actually got a really good, I guess you would say, positional setup going, because I do have these guys that, like, can basically provide, like, covering support. And that is really, really intriguing to me, is the strategy layerings of this game. Like, it is called a real-time strategy game, so obviously, you know, strategy is an essential part of how you configure your squad and prepare for combat. So, oh wow, and there's a vehicle. Well, I guess the vehicle isn't going all the way in. So that to me is kind of like really neat, because you're able to actually dynamically set up your squad, and you try to be, you know, effective in how you're doing stuff, but not everything always goes well. Like, I'm trying to capture the position here. You can see, like, that is kind of my goal, is doing that, so we'll see how that goes. These guys definitely need to retreat back, whoever's left, because it has been a bloodbath. Yeah. It has been an absolute bloodbath trying to like get a good tactical. Maybe you guys should run through that way to get up the steps. Okay, well that's just not gonna be a good time for them. Yeah, I don't know if my squad's gonna last too long there. At least these guys are kind of holding it down. Oh, look at you. You guys actually got that position. I am so proud of this team. Wow. Oh, there goes that squad. So they've got a lot of vehicles, so yeah, we're probably gonna need some, like, anti-vehicle type individuals and stuff like that. That is for sure. Oh, that's why we're not having issues, or we're having so many issues, is I haven't gotten the Battlefield camp set up. My bad. My bad. A grenade package. And there's lots of, like, kind of little smaller wheels on a lot of, you know, I guess you would say the little elements of, like, characters. So, like, you know, some of them will have grenades you can throw, and some other passive abilities, which are nice. Actually, did we get that nest set up over here? We did. Okay. Kind of wondering if we should have our engineers actually sit in there and do that. Barbed wire fence. So they're... Well, actually... I'm just trying to show off, like, some of the building stuff. Like, it is, you do defensive buildings, you do assaultive stuff. It's not just like all, oh, you just send your troops in and they kind of die. Like, there is... Is that like an artillery strike? Get out of there, man! Oh, it was a strafe front. Oh, that is hilarious. So, you're gonna learn, like, a lot of things, and I'm sure my strategies aren't, like, the best as well, because I know there's a lot more intensive folks out there as well that are, you know, they've got years of probably layering strategy that they've developed in this franchise and series and stuff, and I totally get that. Yeah, so you're collecting the resources too, so that you can basically get better tools and better equipment in order to handle the various folks around there. Yeah, I'm thinking we need a couple, like, bazooka type squads. So we've got 2 vehicles that we can kind of have. Because I sort of want the vehicles to... Oh wow, you guys run home, guys. They're totally going to die from that. That's like an enemy. Yeah, the armor is... the armor is piercing. So I'm trying to get, like, a little bit of a strategy thing going, but we are definitely not having the best of setup here. My team is not effectively doing stuff. So let's send in those vehicles. They have a good blockade of heavier, like, armor type things going on, which is definitely a problem. Distribute medical supplies, casualty reinforcements. Alright, so everybody's looking better. I've got a lot of guys just debating on how I want to... Okay, so we've got 2 bazooka teams, which I'm thinking are probably going to be some of the better options for reinforcing the central area. So let's get these guys over here. Yeah, maybe over here, and then we can kind of position them maybe in split up groups so that they're not getting like blown up at once. And yeah, sorry, there's just a lot going on here. But the game is filled with a good selection of different like modes and ways to play, which I quite like. We started a brand new battle adventure, so hopefully we can have a slightly better time this time around without getting absolutely pulverized. So let's start building and setting up our units and get everything a-rolling. So we've got, wow, we've got not a lot going on here. Our setup was a little bit better last time around, considering we had things going. But yeah, so like I was trying to say, there's a lot of depth to the environment. There's a lot of different game modes, and there's a lot of like there's custom game setups and everything like that. So the game is actually, in my opinion, quite filled with different ways that you can kind of play it and capture maps and strategically push forward. And there's elements of like, you know, when you go about it and you play it, the campaign and stuff, you know, the battles and that, they're always going to be a little bit different because the setups and the tactics of play are going to be a little bit, you know, kind of random in how troops are distributed, how troops are moving around in the battlefields. And, you know, the full scope of it is available on the Series S here, even if it doesn't look, you know, quite as aesthetically pleasing as it does on, you know, say another platform. But I think they did, at its core, kind of provide the full scope of this game, and I hope it does lead way to more and more RTS titles becoming available on the platforms over time, because it really has, like this, and I'd say Age of Empires, to me, has really shown, you know, that I think these games definitely do work on here, and they can actually work really quite well, and I do like that we have so many, you know, options. A growing selection of options is the biggest thing. That is very much appreciated, that we get, you know, these types of games that traditionally we really didn't quite get in the past. So it is great that so many options are present for this. It's just like, it's really quite neat that this continues to be something we're getting more and more of. I'm, you know, so appreciative of these options, because I do like these real-time strategy games quite a bit. You know, there's a lot of fun to be had as you are kind of managing your squad and using your troops and doing the different battles, you know, taking your territory, expanding the scope of presence for your base, and trying to hold everything off as you deal with, like, you know, ongoing attacks from different, like, setups and formations. And yeah, they really did, I think, actually do a really good job on this sort of thing. I love that we have these types of games. We're getting so many more of them. Resource cache. Yeah, let's get that going right here. Can we actually? Yeah. It's just like it's neat, the dynamics of play as your squad is kind of like trying to hold things. These guys are losing pretty badly. I'm just kind of hoping we can get the trucks and stuff going, and we're kind of trying to get the resources kind of a little bit more faster on the run this time around, so that like we can actually get these buildings going. That's the biggest problem. We seem to just not be grabbing stuff super quick, which is not ideal if you want to win with your resources that you have. Okay, so we took this, and we want, I kind of want this. I'm prepared to go over battle for this. But yeah, it's just kind of like neat doing the dynamics of, you know, on one hand, you're sort of like, you know, you're attacking, you're destroying. On one hand, you're building. On another hand, you're like setting up a scenario so that you can actually continue to get stuff, resources and that put in your territory. Actually, we go and swing by for that. Maybe take some more fuel, because this is yeah, this is a victory point. Don't go right through the explosive thing. And I love all the destruction stuff too. This game's really got a lot going on for it. But in general, I think, you know, Company of Heroes 3 is a pretty cool game. It's a cool franchise, and seeing it available here, you know, on Series S and stuff is great. And yeah, I'm hoping we get more RTS stuff down the road, and it's kind of a blast to have this actually available. Well, there goes that Jeep.
dead, baby.